slow going and snowy. Well, back to our breaking news story today. Thanks to all the snow, the highly anticipated return to in-person learning is now delayed once again. And depending on where kids go to school, they will continue to learn online or get a snow day.
So here's the rundown for you across the GTA. Public and Catholic schools in Toronto, they're closed. Students will be learning remotely. Both the public and Catholic school boards in York Region have closed schools and say students will be offered optional learning activities. This is a snow day, though, for public school students in Peel, but Dufferin Peel Catholic schools will switch to remote learning. Public and Catholic schools in Halton are closed today. Kids there getting a snow day. And in Durham Region, public and Catholic schools are closed, while elementary school students are getting a snow day. High school students will still be learning online.
All right, joining us live this morning on what was supposed to be the first day of in-person learning is Education Minister Stephan Lecce. Minister Lecce, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. We have been in this pandemic going on 3 years now, and many pediatricians are saying that the benefits of kids learning in person kind of outweigh the risks of them getting COVID. Some people, like Annie Kidder, for People of Education, have been calling for an education or health advisory to be set up in schools. Do you think going forward that this is something that should happen or will happen?
Well, first off, the return to school is strongly supported by Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, all medical officers of health, Dr. Davila in Toronto, among many others, and of course the pediatric hospitals of Ontario. And we think it's important, yes, for their mental and their physical health. We also know that we've taken extraordinary steps to reduce the risk of transmission within our child care and education settings. That's why, as kids return to school, we're going to continue the strong collaboration with the Chief Medical Officer of Health and Public Health to reduce the risk. N95s, the only province to have that high quality PP for our staff. One of the 3 provinces in Canada to accelerate boosters for education staff. Vaccination clinics in elementary schools on a voluntary consent basis to reduce any barriers to get immunized. And finally, a continued focus on rapid testing. We're one of the few provinces that have confirmed millions of rapid tests within our school boards. In Toronto, for example, they have them, they've kitted them, and they're ready to go as soon as schools open, appreciating that Mother Nature had a different plan this morning. But look, at the end of the day, we simply want to acknowledge to parents it's been a challenge. None of this has been easy. And I really do have a great deal of, hope that we can get these kids back in a setting where I know they want to be. And I think overwhelmingly parents want them to be, which is with their friends, with every layer of protection in place. And that's exactly what we're doing today.
A lot of parents do definitely want that, Minister. There's no doubt about that. But there also is some trepidation, some hesitation and concern about sending kids back to class because, a lot of the medical experts we've spoken to say the province now is effectively flying blind when it comes to COVID-19. We don't really know where we're with case counts because we can't PCR test. And some people are suggesting, opening up the schools now, still in the sort of peak of this Omicron wave, is a little bit reckless. How do you respond to those health critics? I'm talking about health experts who say this may not be the time.
Well, that's just not the position, at least expressed by Ontario's Children's Health Coalition, which represents every pediatric hospital in Ontario. They are experts in children's welfare, their health, and they have been clear that there is clear value in getting the kids back with the layers of protection we put in place. The other thing I'd say, Nick, I think that's important is the acknowledgement in 2022, something we finally had that our Premier worked very hard to deliver was rapid tests. I mean, we didn't have that in 2021. We didn't have access to them from the federal government until literally weeks ago. And so we've now committed $3.9 million that are in the hands of school boards. In Toronto, I know that they worked hard over the last couple of days to get them ready to distribute today. I mean, obviously that may take some delay, but the point is parents will have access to millions of rapid tests on a weekly basis for symptomatic purposes. At home, that means for a parent on a day-to-day basis, your child has a symptom. They're going to stay home because you're going to screen them. You're now going to have access to a rapid test. You use it on day 1. You wait 24 hours, do a second negative test. The symptoms subside. You get your child back. It reduces the amount of time they're out of school. It also gives you that level of confidence that your child does not have COVID as they return to school and as they carry on with their life. And so we think that the protocols in place are strong. They've been enhanced with rapid tests, N95s, 3-ply masks for kids, and of course, better ventilation. And Nick, one thing we can't discount from this discussion is the work that our province has done alone in investing in ventilation. My provincial counterparts across Canada, many of them are scrambling to buy HEPA units. We have 70,000 in place in September. And for parents that want to know the ventilation improvements in your schools today, right now, since September, the only province to require every school on a school-by-school basis, the ventilation improvements, the mechanical ventilation, the HEPA units in place, the fact that we use the highest quality filters, MERV 13s, we change them more often, we run our airflow systems longer. All of this has been in place for months before Omicron because we've tried to be as proactive as possible as you can with a virus that's changing so quickly.
Minister, why is it so hard to track where those units are? Why can't we sort of log onto a website and find out where those ventilation units are? Because, we've been trying to piece this all together from various school boards. Why isn't there a centralized place where we can go and check and see what the actual status is school by school or perhaps even classroom by classroom?
It's a great question because, in fact, we have provided a requirement that every school board in the province of Ontario, all 72, in September, Nick, we didn't wait till Omicron, we didn't wait till 2022 or the opening on the 17th. In September, they had to confirm if the system, their HVAC system was inspected, if they even have mechanical ventilation, what the quality is of their filter, how often they change them. They have to confirm the amount of HEPA units on a school-by-school basis. We actually have that type of granular information available since then. And for parents that want to know, check out your school board website. For some schools that have websites, we've requested that information to be there as well. We are trying to be as transparent as possible to families, giving them that information. And we have 3,000 additional HEPA units that we've funded and are delivering to school boards as another enhancement to a program that is strong. We, Dr. Juni, the head of the Ontario Science Table, acknowledged the ventilation improvements we've made in Ontario. And, while we recognize that's going to help reduce risk, we're going to go further with the higher quality masks, with the ventilation, and obviously with vaccination, which I think is important. We have one of the highest vax rates for high school kids, but we also acknowledge for elementary kids, we've got some work to do. 50% first dose. Not bad since they've only been eligible for the vaccine for 2 months, I suppose. But if you look at Newfoundland, they're at 70%. And so we want to get that number up, which is why we're launching school-based vax clinics in elementary schools. I want to be clear to parents, it requires your explicit consent. But if we can give you another vehicle to access the safe vaccine, we're going to do it. We're going to try everything possible to increase immunization and encourage education staff to get boosted, which is why we've set up these 11 clinics across the GTHA. I think it's really helping to give an incentive and just reduce any barriers to immunization. It's important. It's probably, as the medical community has said, our best defense against this variant.
Minister Lecce, we're out of time. Very quickly, though, I do want to get to this. Some doctors don't think that these 3-ply high-quality cloth masks are good enough. Why aren't we procuring KN95 masks for children?
Well, the Chief Medical Officer of Health has suggested when he was asked this question as recently as Thursday that Public Health Ontario and the Public Health Agency of Canada does recommend a high-quality 3-ply mask. We have those. 4 million more have been provided to schools. I think what I'd simply say is if Dr. Moore and Public Health Ontario recommend that we go further, I think with the Premier and the government has demonstrated we will do that. I mean, we've gotten ahead of public health advice throughout the pandemic, and I think families should know if that is the advice of the medical community to elevate to a higher quality mask, we'll absolutely consider it. We just want to reduce the risk and keep these kids in school. We know that's so important for their mental and physical health, which is why we've increased our protocol and strengthened it every step of the way through the pandemic.
All right. Education Minister Stephan Lecce, really appreciate your time this morning. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.